Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. This is Griever here, bringing you guys a movie review for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I know a lot of people did not like this movie. Those people I don't understand, because this is a good movie. And, okay, I'll even extend an olive branch. It's an okay movie, but it is a very good Star Wars film. It truly is. I like this movie. I don't get where all the complaints are coming from. All the complaints I have heard are problems because people wanted a continuation of the worst Star Wars film, The Last Jedi. Well, sorry, nobody liked that movie. I did not hear a lot of people defending that film. The only thing I defended in that film was Mark Hamill. Having Luke Skywalker back was the only saving grace. The fan service in Last Jedi was the saving grace of The Last Jedi. So they doubled down on that in this film and said, yeah, you know what, maybe we're going to do something else. So I already recorded this. I already recorded this a couple of times. One was like 40 minutes, one was 30 minutes and stuff, and I thought that was a little too long for a review. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going on about all the major points and all the stuff and all the problems, I'm going to break this down into a sequence of videos that I hope to get out in, between the end of this year into next year. A couple, like the top 5 best moments in Rise of Skywalker, the top 5 worst moments, some discussion, maybe 3 or 4 other videos, rather than have this big, long, hour-long review. So that being said, I just want to say that, so if this one feels a little rushed, a little fast, sorry about that. It's just that I felt like I don't want to get off track too much, too many tangents when I have more than 20 minutes to work with. So that being said, let's get underway with this, and spoilers. There will be spoilers in this review. I do not make spoiler-free reviews, so you have been warned. Let's get into this, because the fan service moments were beautiful. They were on point. They were fantastic. I like the movie. Does it retcon The Last Jedi a little bit? And is there flaws? Absolutely. If I had to give it a rating, probably about an 8 out of 10, because there are problems. It's not perfect. And personally, what people complain about the Return of the King, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, having 15 goddamn endings, for a 42-year series, 42? Yeah, 42 years of film, of series going on, this ending was a little quick, in my opinion. We didn't have a long, extended goodbye to Star Wars saga, the main canon, that since Disney erased all the other canon, it would have been very nice to have that 15 endings. It really would. I expected a little more. But, and these are some drawbacks, don't get me wrong. And some of the blatant retconning of Last Jedi was a little, and some exposition dumping and stuff. I can agree with that. But overall, I had a great time with this Star Wars-esque Star Wars film. The problem with Last Jedi is it tried to be a Marvel movie. Disney thought Marvel humor works, let's insert it into Star Wars. It's not what Star Wars is all about, and that broke a lot of that movie. Then we had a useless adventure that nobody cared about, with characters that do not return in the sequel. And then, at the end of the day, I agree with an interview that I just read yesterday about, because I saw it last night. I read an interview with J.J. Abrams basically saying, everybody's right, because he didn't set out to try to please everybody. He knew in his heart, he knew right away, there are going to be a certain group of fans that aren't going to like that I did A, and there's going to be a big group of fans that like that I did A. And that goes for every letter of the alphabet. I'm paraphrasing here a little bit, but basically he said, I couldn't please everybody. I just made the movie I wanted to make, pretty much. And you know what? It's a good movie. It was a damn good Star Wars movie. Now, you can go down in the comment section, and you can bitch, moan, and complain all you want about how they jumped into like the Palpatine stuff way too quickly. Okay, but the opening 20 minutes were fantastic, so I can forgive it for that alone. And then you can say, oh, well, they excuse away the whole Last Jedi thing. There's too much this, there's too much fan service, that, too much callbacks. Last time I checked, people liked Force Awakens. That is a carbon copy of A New Hope. So then we get Last Jedi, which does, in my opinion, very little right outside of fan service, and people hate it. Then they go back to the formula and basically say, okay, we're not going to carbon copy Return of the Jedi, but we're going to bring a lot of callbacks, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of blatant fan service, and we're going to ignore the major problems, the checklist of issues that people had with The Last Jedi. I don't think that was a mistake. Some of the things, do they need to be there? No. But I've heard a lot of complaints that are just unfounded. The fact that, like, the Emperor coming back and stuff, and that's MacGuffined away. No, it wasn't. Or Deus Ex Machina'd away. No, it was not. If you know anything about the Star Wars canon, if you know anything about the actual lore of the Sith and Jedi, no, it was not. And if you go on, and I might sound pretty condescending here, guys, because I've been hearing, I agree with a lot of the complaints and issues. It didn't take away my enjoyment out of this film. But the complaints that are there, there are a lot. There's a lot of stuff, so I might end up sounding very condescending. I don't intend to be, but I feel like there's not enough people on here defending this film. And they shouldn't just defend it on the sole purpose of, well, it was a nostalgia trip, so I enjoyed it because my childhood is screaming yay. No, it was a good film. It was better than The Last Jedi. It did a lot of things right. The scenery, the cinematography, the acting, the conclusions, the battles, all of this was great. And I've heard a lot of the people that complain that this movie was bad agree with all these points. Well, last time I checked, there are only about 7 or 8 things that make a good movie, and I have 5 in my hand that everyone agrees was good. So we're already batting, like 5 out of 7 or 8. So how is this movie so bad? That's my problem. Is that because I enjoyed the starship battles. I enjoyed, every single scene with Palpatine back. It was like, yes, now is that a little fan service? Is that a little callback? Of course it is. But Palpatine has been in almost all of these films. So it's fine. And he's epic. I didn't hear anybody, do I think they made a mistake by introducing him in the trailer? Do I think they made mistakes with the teaser trailers and the trailers? Yes, I do. But that didn't take away my enjoyment of the film. It's still a very good film. And because people don't like that it didn't respect The Last Jedi, but you, as a fan, clearly did not respect The Last Jedi, because I never heard a single person say, I heard people say, it wasn't as bad as people think, or it was okay. I never heard anybody say, that was a great film. Last Jedi was a great movie. I didn't hear a single person say that. So the fact that this movie went out of its way to try to fix and retcon, and it did, blatantly so, the problems of The Last Jedi, is Return of the Jedi still a great movie? Most would say yes. Okay, then what about the from a certain point of view? Your parents were nobody, Ray. From a certain point of view. People are complaining about that, but once again, that's more of a callback to Return of the Jedi than a problem. Once again, all the problems in this movie can be summarized by the fact that they weren't properly done or foreshadowed in The Last Jedi. So I blame The Last Jedi. This movie was good. The reveals and the choreography and just the acting was on point. Every scene, did it have some problem? Yes, like the pacing and the jumping from scene to scene to scene, and it felt like a very haphazardly put together sometimes. Absolutely. Was it a very convoluted plot? Like, did it feel like they tried to squeeze too much in? Because they used the scrolling text at the beginning of the movie to go, bam, here's your plot, and we're like, whoa, like there's no reveal, we're not going to see this happen, it's just, accept it, this happened with a line of dialogue, let's move into it. These are things that, once again, should have been done properly in The Last Jedi, but here we have crunch time. Does that excuse the film for trying to do it? No, so you could take away some points for that. But I still way more believe and prefer that Palpatine was controlling this entire thing the whole time. He was controlling Snoke. He's the one who corrupted Kylo Ren. He's the one who's been being the puppet master like he's been since the prequel trilogy. Makes way more sense than some random Supreme Leader Snoke, powerful as hell on the dark side, with the power to corrupt Ben Solo, a Skywalker, underneath the tutelage of Luke himself. It makes way more sense that nobody, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn, Emperor Palpatine himself. You telling me Palpatine and Vader would have been happy with this Supreme Leader Snoke existing in their galactic empire? So then where did he come from? These things, the entire thing might be exposition dump. But it's believable, it just wasn't handled well. So story-wise, it's not bad. It was not wrong because it's believable. And remember another thing. People have throwaway lines about this. About the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. That line, people are saying, oh, well, that's a throwaway line to try to justify, to Deus Ex away all these problems. No, remember, he was trying, his master, Palpatine's master, figured it out, if you recall. He figured out the midichlorians, the immortality route. Figured that stuff out. How to save lives and shit. He figured that all out. Palpatine promises Anakin they will figure it out. In Episode 3. Do you want to know how many years are between Episode 3 and Rise of Skywalker? Or Return of the Jedi, for that matter. Because it's not 1. It's not 2. It's not 10. It's decades of time. So you think, what does everyone think? That Palpatine sat on his ass after Episode 3 and did nothing but build a Death Star? No. They never did any more Sith lore. They never tried to discover any more. They never tried to increase their influence and power. They never tried to do any of that. No, they sat on their laurels. Emperor Palpatine was actually in cryosleep for 2 decades. Yeah. He just woke up for Return of the Jedi and nothing else. See how foolish that sounds? So it makes entire sense that he would have come up with some type of backup plan. The man was old as shit. He didn't want to die. He realized his master Plagueis' faults. So he tried to figure out a way. And he's not truly alive. He's in the zombified state sort of idea. And it was cool. It was horror-esque. It was awesome. And it's believable. Once again, this is Star Wars. You have to take a little bit of the take the logic out of it a little bit. This is Star Wars. This is the Force. Anything can happen because once they put it on screen, it's real. It happens. The campiness of the original needs to shine through a little bit. And not this new age humor of the Marvel Universe. That's not Star Wars. This needs to show up. So the believability is right there for me. All these complaints about that. The same, another Palpatine thing. How did he amass this whole fleet this whole time? Once again, how many years has he had between Return of the Jedi and Rise of Skywalker? And how many years and how many fleet ships? You're telling me they blew up 2 Death Stars, remember? There are multiple fleets of the Galactic Empire. How many movies do you need to see where the Galactic Empire has completely Nazified whole planets and worlds and systems, entire systems, before you realize that what we see is a small portion of the armada, of the Navy, whatever you want to call it, that is the Star Destroyers? Did nobody else but me notice that those weren't the new First Order ships? Those were original Star Destroyers that Palpatine built? Because probably a good portion of them, though maintained and outfitted differently, were original Star Destroyers from back in Return of the Jedi. They didn't destroy everything. It wasn't they blew up the Death Star and there goes all the Imperial officers and all the stormtroopers and all the no. That's not what happened. So Palpatine somehow, got to this original Sith world, which apparently is in the unknown regions. Remember, they spent years looking for Luke, in a place that couldn't be found. Even though they know, oh, First Jedi Temple. Well, nobody knows where that is. Luke did. He found it, but he didn't tell anybody. So why is it unbelievable, and nobody Force sensitive could go find him, apparently, by using the Force. So why do people assume that they could go find Palpatine if he was biding his time, cloaking himself similar to Yoda on Dagobah, cloaked himself in this world that was very hard to get to, almost impossible, and he sat back and was just like, I'm just going to build ships. I'm not going to try to conserve power or anything. I'm just going to, and then puppet master a bunch of events. It makes total sense in the narrative of a Star Wars film. So plot-wise and story-wise, and the big moments, there are some bad moments. The fake out with Chewie's death, the fake out with C-3PO, the memory loss stuff. There was some moments, right? But we have so many fan service moments with all the Jedi of the past. We got Samuel L. Jackson, Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor. We got Hayden Christensen. We got all of them back, to just say lines. Now, would I have liked an even bigger fan service moment where we see them all in Force Ghost form in some respect, either in an ending scene, with Rey and everybody, like at the end of the movie after she defeated Palpatine, and talk to all the past Jedi in some way, figure out where to go from here, because Luke's Jedi Order failed, maybe should she try again, the, balance, all that stuff, maybe have a very philosophical discussion about where to go from here with the Jedi of the past who are all one with the Force. That would have been really interesting. Or have Luke show up in Force Ghost form to kind of be like, okay, Palpatine, you're kind of cheating here with this whole zombie thing. So I think I can intervene as a Force Ghost. Do I think that they could have fan serviced it a little more? Yes. Is it a little cheesy? Of course. But Star Wars was always cheesy. Go back and watch the original trilogy. There's a little bit of cheese in there. A sliver of cheese, and some, at a campsite. Some campy cheese, okay, is in the original Star Wars. And it's not just because it's dated, it's because that's what the movies were. So, once again, bringing that back and stuff, the Leia scenes and stuff, especially the whole, when Kylo finally realized when he hears his mother's voice and stuff, I thought there would be a big speech, but it was done even better than I thought. She just needed to say Ben. That was set up beautifully because he never thought he could face her again or return to her, and so he never reached out for fear of her, the look in her eyes, for her rejection of what he's become, because he couldn't face his mother, and she reached out to him instead, and that was the turning point. It worked. Han Solo coming back, the Luke Skywalker Force Ghost thing, the whole lifting out the X-Wing thing as once again, that we saw that in Last Jedi. So if you guys want your connection to Last Jedi, we saw the X-Wing under the water. So we saw him lift it, kind of in an ode to, I couldn't do it before in Empire, but remember when I couldn't do that? Yeah, I can do that shit now. That was cool. All the moments with, once again, the resurrected Palpatine and stuff, I like it. The lightning thing was cool. Rey being a Palpatine, then taking on the name of Skywalker after burying the lightsabers of Leia and Luke, and just the Lando stuff. Lando being there, Lando working. I'm trying to figure out the timeline where if Lando was working with Luke, when did Luke exactly run away? Because that's a thing. So Rey was born, and there's a thing, whatever. So there is quite a number of things to actually love about this film. I've already listed them before with the beautiful effects and the visuals and the acting and the cinematography and just the, there was so much of the fan service. You have to love the fan service. Why are you going to a 42-year-old series if you're not a fan? And if you don't like fan service in a fan-based film, that's on you. I can't stand when people go to these films. I can't stand when critics go to a movie like The Hobbit and never watch Lord of the Rings. Or I can't stand when people, go see I'm going to read book 10, because apparently it's a great book. I'm going to read the book 10 of a 20-book series and then complain about issues that if you had read all the books, liked all the books, understood what these books were, then you might enjoy book 10. It just makes no sense to me. In a similar way, a lot of people enjoyed Rogue One. But everybody's favorite scene is fan service. It's the Darth Vader scene. So you love this movie, but your favorite moment is a fan service moment. But when we have a movie dedicated to the fans, which is blatantly doesn't pretend not to be, which is why I liked it, the fans that are complaining it's just a little bit of a rollback there for me. I'm not fully understanding. I'm not. People complained about Last Jedi because it went too far one way. Rise of Skywalker tried to be everything that they thought a Star Wars movie was and is, and it did, and people still complain. Don't get it. So once again, great movie. Those are all the good moments. As I said before, the bad moments, and I will be making videos about this later on in the at the end of the year here or into the new year. We have, once again, don't hold me fully to that, but I'll try my best. But we have like the fake outs of the two deaths, Chewie and 3PO. We have the Force heal thing, which I didn't mind the Force heal initially, but the fact that it was starting to res people, because Force heal has been a thing for a long time. Healing minor wounds and stuff, fine dandy. I can get on board with that. Didn't like that it saved Kylo Ren from a potentially, like that was a pretty fatal wound. And then after that, they kind of swap lives and sort of idea. And to me, it was left unclear. Force bonds are a thing. And I thought they were referencing the Knights of the Old Republic, because Force bonds have been a thing in the original canon, once again, before Disney. Force bonds have been a thing, and they are powerful. The representation of this Force bond was really, really interesting and cool. How they kind of exist in two places at once. Really cool representation of the Force bond in a visual way. But when Palpatine talks about them and then takes their life force, I was under the impression he took the power of their Force bond to fuel his own life. Because he talks about their Force bond, then sucks it out of them. I didn't realize he was using life sap. I thought he was Force sapping, but a lot of people, from all the reviewers that I've listened to on YouTube and stuff, so maybe we'll have to wait for a novelization, an official one, to kind of get the answer there, if not any sooner, because I was under the impression, because he talks about a Force diadem, a Force bond, and it hasn't been seen for generations, and we saw that in Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. I thought that that's what he was taking away from them, rather than just taking their life force, because if that's the case, he's a zombie. He took, it wasn't fully explained properly, at least for me. So that was a bit of an issue once again. And the ending, though I enjoyed the ending, I liked the ending, I didn't feel it did enough service. It wasn't long enough for the ending of 42 years of filmmaking, of the greatness that was Star Wars. It felt very one movie ending, not a bad ending by any stretch, but too short standalone feeling, too trilogy ending, not saga ending, not franchise ending. This did not feel like that for me personally. Still a good ending, but we could have extended it. I would have sat in that theater for another 15 minutes, half hour to see more. To just see more of a slow-paced, slow-moving, multiple endings. Where does Chewie and Lando end up? Where does 3PO and R2-D2 go from here? What's the result of this? Palpatine's destroyed, so what happens to Poe and Finn? And what happens to Rey? What happens to the Jedi? What happens to the Sith? Is there any more? Is she going to make a new Jedi Order? Is she going to train a new apprentice? Is she going to let it die with her in the end? Is there... Because there's just so many questions, I would have liked to see a little bit more fill outness, because if we never see these characters again, this feels a little stopping short. But that being said, guys, that's basically my review. I don't want this to go too long. As I said, I think we're around the 20-minute mark. So what did you guys think of Rise of Skywalker? Did you like it? I feel like I'm one of the only people, other than one other friend I talked to, that liked the movie, that enjoyed the movie. But I hope you guys liked it. And if you don't, list your reasons down in the comment section down below. As I said, I'm going to make some multiple videos about this, because I feel like it warrants separate discussions about how I believe it's more on Last Jedi than Rise of Skywalker for the reasons people don't like this. And for other things like top 5 moments and top 5 bad moments and stuff like that. I'll make some type of video about that kind of thing. But either way, like, comment, and subscribe as always. It's always very much appreciated. Don't forget to hit that bell notification, and Discord link is down in the comment section box below, or the description box, not the comment box, the description box down below. So don't forget to join the Discord if you guys want to chat to me and a lot of other great people, and some YouTubers on there as well. Once again, Merry Christmas Eve and Happy Holidays, and I don't really like saying that, but season's greetings, I guess. Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, Merry December 25th. Merry whatever you guys do celebrate. So, thanks guys so much for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Peace.